if you are not in the sanctuary right now where we are having our meeting, you are going to miss a really cool opening prayer. And you will hear about it from your friends, and you'll say, I cannot believe that I was not in the sanctuary to do that, to see that prayer. I can't believe that I was out just talking to random people in the hall outside, and I did not walk into the sanctuary in order to see the extremely cool opening prayer led by at least one, possibly two youth. Even I'm going to be surprised by our own Pacific Northwest Conference. So if those of you that are in the narthex, a word you may not know, lobby, come on in. Hey, Brandon, get those people out there to come on in. Come on in, guys. They're close. You like my shirt? Woo! Are you aware of the fact that we have a youth contingent here at annual meeting? We do. How do they all get one? I don't know. I was handed one. How do they get one? Do you just have to, are you? Yeah, I mean, you have to talk to them. I don't know how you get one. They just gave it to me. It's because I look young. Okay. So, you know, one of the things that I really like, you know that business about actually go out and do something? You know, you're inspired by something and you go do something. So what I happen to know is that some of the youth starting last night, and I think this was really kind of pushed forward by Hayden Sprinkle, listened to what was going on and wrote a little rap, a little conference rap. And so she is going to come up. I heard Kimmy was working on one too. I don't know if it's done yet. It's not quite here yet. Kimmy's is going to be in the offing soon, but this is going to be our opening time of prayer.
All right. So it's not, I don't know if you guys want me to rap it or do you want me to just say it? All right. So I don't really have a title for this rap, but you'll get it. Okay, so you want to know me? Well, let's see. I'm chilling with my church fam at the annual meeting because we don't discriminate, we don't hate. We breathe, live, and appreciate that everyone's unique in their own. This church is another form of home. I've met a lot of people like Davida and Mike. I'm going to go to community outreach and find a cause I like. I'm gonna find new ways to worship JC. I'm gonna be the person I want to be. So if you do something I don't like, I'm gonna peacefully protest for what's right. So let's use our gifts and transform the world because every person is a pearl, different colors and sizes, small and tall. God loves us all. Oh, and just in case you wanted to know, I'm a pelican, and that's how I roll.
So Hayden, what I think I'm going to do, because there are some of us here who do only take information in one piece at a time, is I'm going to ask you if you would like either text or bring the text of your rap like over to the information dude so that at some point they could put it up here so that people actually can read it as well. What? You can do it whenever you want to, honey. It's okay. You can wander over there. So welcome back from lunch. Find your way back into this space in whatever way you need to do that. And I am pleased to open up this plenary session. We have someone with us who has done a tremendous amount of work during this past year on our behalf. It was last summer that a group of us got together and heard some wonderful proposals. We had put out an RFP asking for people to give us a proposal on ways that we could move forward as a conference, thinking about ways that we communicate with one another through technology. And the person who we ended up asking to consult with us and do this work on our behalf is Kathleen Hosfeld. And so she has been working for the past year on putting together a series of She's created information for us about where we are as a conference in terms of our information technology use. She has created a proposal for things that we can do that will help us to connect better and help us to communicate better, and some proposals for ways that we can move into the future with this and actually make it a reality. And she's going to share a report with all of us today on that work that she's done on our behalf. Kathleen.
Thank you. It's so good to be here, and I'm saying thank you to John. I've got his mouse, and hopefully I'll be able to advance slides from here. He's gonna help me if I get ahead of myself, because he'll do it back. So you may be, and I'm gonna have to actually look here because normally I have my screen in front of me to remind me what I'm gonna actually say. But the study that I'm talking to you about was commissioned by the conference. And I want to make some connections with what Davida was saying this morning, because what she was talking about is what this study was all about. It's about, wants us transformation. So wants us to connect with our gifts, so we can transform the world, right? Okay, so that's what this is all about. This is not about boring things like cell phones and computers. This is about setting the stage to transform the world. So what we did, just briefly, is this was not just a survey. This was a conversation that went on for a period of time. All of you were invited to take part by taking some surveys, but there were interviews and there were conversations had throughout the conference, and with individuals, churches, and with specialized ministers were not left out, even though some of you thought you were. And so we put together a report. The survey process actually had really broad representation on both sides of the Cascades, as well as up into Alaska. So I think we got not every voice in the room, but many voices in the room. And so you can see that I'm going to gesture. Here, that's all west of the mountains. It's all east of the mountains. And then there's tiny little Alaska that's up at the top. That's a data point of 1, I have to say. Woohoo! All right, go Alaska. Okay. Oh, no. There we go. And we talked to, I talked to 5 different groups. Clergy, meaning leaders of congregations, congregations themselves, leadership in the conference, youth under 29, and then specialized ministers. And the key findings are that the conference is really revitalizing. There have been some times that that you were struggling with certain issues, but there's really new energy. Committees are revitalized. They're talking to each other. They're doing good work. But additional communication infrastructure is really needed to continue that work. And the unfortunate piece is that conference churches and leadership really are far behind in terms of standard practices with regard to communication technology, and I'll come back to that and explain what I mean by that. But a significant number of the churches don't have even the basics. They don't have their own email address or email account. They don't have websites. So they don't have what they need to, where they are still literally in that place that Davida was talking about, where they pick up the phone to create relationship. You know, y'all thought that was kind of an exaggeration of us who were born before 1980. That is actually the reality for some congregations. So it's important that we note that. It's all those different groups, those 5 groups, they all have different communications and technology needs. So that's another challenge that we have, is how do we bridge those area differences and as well as age differences. And then, but we do place a really high value on relationship in the conference, and that's an important thing to hold on to, and it is not antithetical to good communication technology. So there's three issues that I want to talk about. One is that there are these divergent needs for communication. There are different types of communication, and there are three that I'll name, and two are expressed as needs, and one is not being addressed at all. There's a digital divide that it affects the technology haves and the technology have-nots. And vision is needed actually to leverage any kind of investment in technology going forward. And so that's something that needs to be in place. And I'll take each of those three items individually. So there's two divergent needs that there's actually three types of communication that are represented in the study. The first one, information sharing. This is your classic, this is the before 1980 model of communication. It's one way. We broadcast it out. So I'm going to add to Davita's little visual lexicon, and we're going to refer to this as information sharing. So you get the idea. There's not a lot of back and forth. It's just stuff that you're a consumer of this information. Then there's another kind of communication which is called dialogue. And this is where two or more parties gather together, and what they put together in terms of communication creates a new whole, creates something new. And so the new lexicon is this. So we've got this, and we've got dialogue. We've got information sharing and dialogue. And the thing that we need to recognize in modern communications is that the information sharing model was the model used in corporate America to do marketing. And we think that if we just give people information, that they will actually take action and do something with it. That used to be the case. That was in an era of limited goods and services. Today we have a wealth of goods and services, and people don't just buy things based on getting the information that they're available. Today, with the internet and with all these other technologies, people are more expecting dialogue. They want to interact with the people that they're creating value with. They want to be able to have conversation and tailor their experiences. And it's through dialogue that we actually are able to create change together. And and related to that, then is the third form of communication type, which is persuasion. And this unfortunately has a coercive kind of feel to it, but I would say that in any entity that wants to create change in the world has to engage in some type of persuasion. And I think it's too light in this room for you to see this particular ad. But this is from the Methodist Church, and it's got two praying hands, and it says, some miracles come from heaven, others come from Kentucky and Missouri, and on and on. And so this is a form of persuasive speech that's important around creating change in both behavior and changing perceptions and beliefs. So those are the three types of communication that should be represented in any kind of system. What happens in the conference, however, is all of our mental focus is on information sharing, not on, and certainly not on persuasion. I don't know, what's a good one for persuasion? All right, so supplication. All right. So then this digital divide is the second issue that I want to raise for you. And you'll see the detail of this as we go forward.